Good afternoon, everyone. Carlos Cedillo with you here again as we continue with the reading with part three of Trump and Musk, an oligarchy of two. Subtitle, An Invisible Force of Power. What we are seeing here today has never been witnessed in the history of this country. Two men, one a president of the United States, the other a right hand to the president, Elon Musk, have, with unstoppable political audaciousness, toppled and dismantled the federal economic and social structure of America. These, these two men are on a mission. They are working quickly and boldly as if moved by an invisible force of power. Their agenda is to bring about core changes to our political and governmental structures, and they are kicking off by downsizing, dismantling, and gutting dozens of vital government agencies and firing thousands of federal employees. Okay, subtitle, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Now let's take a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly of this present situation. Many Americans believe that what Trump and Musk are doing is a good thing for our country. They honestly believe that what these men are doing to revamp our institutions and our government, to put an end to fraud, waste, and abuse, is the best thing that could happen to our country and something that will save taxpayers money. On the other hand, the way Trump and Musk are sidestepping Congress and constitutional rights in their abrupt and drastic cutbacks on funding and downsizing federal institutions that are vitally needed by the middle class, the poor, and the needy, and mass firings of employees needed to operate those agencies, also ransacking certain administrators from the DOJ, FDA, and others to protect their own interests? Well, that's a very bad and ugly, shameful picture for Americans to accept, and it will hurt all those in the line of fire. Subtitle, A Deep Rhetorical Question. If people believe that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are an evil force that has invaded our government, then why would God allow for these men to be in place as our government leaders over this country? What about this verse? Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. Romans 13:1. Yes, of course, God gives prominent potential men and women a chance at being authorities over a nation or country. And he hopes they will be good and faithful servants, governing their people with love, honesty, and justice. But sometimes it doesn't take long for some of these leaders to go south, causing deep disappointment to their constituents who voted for them, and worst of all, hurting God. Subtitle, A Strange Quandary. My friends, it is a strange quandary in which we find ourselves in 2025. No one saw this coming. It happened suddenly. Has anyone ever seen such traumatic confusion ever before in our country? But as we know, history repeats itself. The following historical narrative from the biblical books of Joel and Amos bears such close parallel to our present political and social picture, it's almost frightening. Subtitle, God is allowing something big to happen. The law of double reference, quote unquote, suggests that certain biblical passages or prophecies, though separated by time, one given at the general moment of the prophecy, and the other in the distant far-off future, blend their fulfillment into one single unified picture. In consonance with the law of double reference, I'm superimposing prophecies from the book of Joel and Amos over our present day events involving Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Following, we'll see how these events, past and present, align eerily into a single transcendent picture. Okay, at the end of that, I put at the beginning here, the next title, I put words in parentheses are mine. And the subtitle is Joel chapter 2 and Amos chapter 2, 3, 4, and 5. Blow the trumpet in Zion, USA, in parentheses, and sound the alarm. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble. In parentheses, God is warning. Something big is about to happen, and the people are nervous, worried. Close parentheses. For a day of darkness, parentheses, closing down of agencies, and gloominess, in parentheses, mass firings, is coming. And a great people and strong, in parentheses, Trump and Musk, the like of which we've never seen or ever will see for many years. They are like a strong people set in battle array. In parentheses, Trump and Musk are strong and set firmly to resist and win against any political opposition or judicial battle. Close parentheses. Subtitle, Therefore an adversary shall come into your land. They, in parentheses, Trump and Musk, shall bring down your strength, and they will spoil your palaces. In parentheses, they will diminish the strength and authority of government, and government agencies will be compromised and ransacked. Close parentheses. Before their face, the people, in parentheses, Americans, shall be much pained, in parentheses, distressed and anguished when they see their government torn apart, close parentheses. All faces shall gather blackness, terror, in parentheses. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, in parentheses, Trump and Musk. And behind them they leave a desolate wilderness, in parentheses. Behind them the institutions are operating well and look stable. Behind them they are left in shambles and with only a skeleton crew, close parentheses. Therefore now, says the Lord God, turn back to me with all your heart, and with fasting, and with weeping and mourning, in parentheses. Be sorry for your wrongdoing, your rebellion against me, and come back to me, close parentheses. Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid, in parentheses? Are some people in America going to blow off this trumpet warning and continue on with business as usual? Close parentheses. For they know not what to do, for they know not to do what is right, in parentheses. This means we're not doing that which is good and morally right, close parentheses, says the Lord God. The store of violence, in parentheses, shootings in schools and public places. The U.S. supplies billions in arms to other countries for wars, and robbery in their places. In parentheses, fraud and embezzlement found in Lehman Brothers, Enron, Bernie Madoff, WorldCom, etc. For I know your manifold transgressions and your mighty sins, in parentheses. Apparently some of the offenses and wrong things we do, which we think are insignificant, are not so small in God's eyes. He sees them for what they really are, mighty transgressions against people and against God. Close parentheses. They afflict the just, they take a bribe, and turn aside the poor and needy at the gate from their right. Another subtitle, End of Biblical Prophecies. Well, that comes at the end of that reading, End of Biblical Prophecies. Whoa, is God saying he's allowing the rot of Trump and Musk as a scourge upon America because of our relapse into bad ways and immoral living? Yes, I believe this is what God is showing us through these current events coming out of Washington. This is the warning. And God says to sound the trumpet, and that is the nature of this writing and video. The prophets in these ancient writings are the mouthpiece of God, and they are sounding the alarm. They are warning the people of their wrongdoing and wrong living. But then God says, He pleads, come back to me, and I will have mercy. Seek good and not evil, that you may live. And yet many of you have not returned to me. Do you not remember how I have overthrown the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah? And yet you have not returned to me. Therefore will I do such unto you. Subtitle: I don't like this warning. I believe God's saying that if we don't take heed to what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah because of their immoral lifestyle and mode of living and being, we might meet with the same fate. In their case, it was fire and brimstone. The inhabitants of those cities were quite wicked, and apparently God sees most of the American population to be just as bad or worse. God help us. Subtitle: Warning of a nuclear scenario. So this warning of fire and brimstone coming down to destroy cities, I would interpret this to be a nuclear scenario. Why? Look at this text from Genesis, which gives a detailed on-location description of what happened that day that fire and brimstone came down from heaven. First of all, the angel warned them, don't look back and don't stay in the plain, but take high ground, escape to the mountain. I think it's common knowledge that when a nuclear bomb strikes, you don't look back. You don't look at the flash of the blast because it will blind you. When a nuclear bomb strikes, the thermal damage extends about a mile. And to go some distance up a mountain would reduce the danger of a lethal radiation dose. Also, the text says that everything that grew on the ground was also destroyed with the two cities and their inhabitants. It is known that surrounding wildlife and fauna were drastically affected by Chernobyl's explosions. That was in Russia. Trees in the surrounding area were heavily affected because of their biological sensitivity to radiation exposure. Subtitle: The fire and brimstone destruction put a huge column of smoke high in the air. After the destruction, Abraham looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and the smoke of the destruction went up as the smoke of a furnace. And dare I say, another similar blast, perhaps also relevant to the subject at hand, is the destruction of a great city or nation that was decimated in 1 hour. This great city or nation had committed much evil, and the energy of the blast, whatever kind of weapon it was, struck with such impact that it produced huge columns of smoke from her burning. So much so that the kings of the earth who had committed fornication with her stood afar off when they saw the smoke of her burning. Nuclear cloud, perhaps? This Revelation 18. The takeaway from the above message is: return to me, come back to me, and I will have mercy. Seek good and not evil, that you may live. And we're at the end of this one, to be continued in part 4. Parts 1 and 2 are on my YouTube channel. And contact information: Carlos A. Cedillo, email carlos.cedillo@gmail.com. That's Carlos, C-A-R-L-O-S, .CCEDILLO@gmail.com. YouTube channel at BenFighter2443. That's at BenFighther2443. I will see you In chapter 4,